Freelance from 2023 starring John Cena, Alison Brie and Juan Pablo Raba. It's directed by Pierre Morel, most famous for directing Taken, starring Liam Neeson. The film is written by Jacob Lentz, who doesn't seem to have written a film before, and from a quick IMDb search, he seems to be a staff writer for Jimmy Kimmel Live, which explains a lot about this film. The premise does sound intriguing in a fun action comedy kind of way. A disgraced reporter, once flying high and being a media darling, must team up with a bitter, injured former Special Forces soldier to escape a South American country after barely escaping with their lives after a failed assassination attempt on the dictator. All of the elements are there as well. Say what you like about John Cena as a wrestler, but as an actor, he has excellent comedic timing. His improv skills are great, and he's naturally funny. He was really good in the recent Peacemaker TV series by James Gunn, and I've also seen him playing smaller roles in straight dramas, and he's quite solid. Cena spent years ad-libbing and training on a microphone, getting thousands of live fans to love or hate him, so he knows how to work a crowd. Then you got Alison Brie, who I know best of all from Community, and Juan Pablo Raba is new to me, but he was excellent. He was charming, he was never overly smarmy, he's handsome, witty, and there's a cheekiness and a real passion to him. The director can do action as well, so why was this film so utterly and completely bland? Freelance could not decide what it wanted to be, so it became a dry, slightly stale cracker. It tasted of nothing, it wasn't nutritious, you endured it, and afterwards you weren't really left with any strong feelings, positive or negative. In the credits after the film, you can see Alison Brie, Cena and Juan ad-libbing, and they're all naturally funny, goofy, silly, and they're all really enjoying themselves. This film seemed to want to dull down all of those natural talents and instead create a mild, watery paste that was neither challenging, funny, or clever. At times, the film tries to be earnest, with touching character moments that don't work, as the script just isn't strong enough. At other times, there are speeches about liberty, about industry and war and global corporations putting profit ahead of anything else. At other times, it tries to be an action film, with Cena being allowed to do what he does best, kick ass in a convincing fashion. In a lot of modern action films, you get £80 female action heroes and £250 very generous and accommodating stuntmen being thrown around. Here, we have a genuine £250 man who could quite easily suplex anyone, toss them around the room and fold them up like a pretzel, and we barely get that at all. So even the fight scenes in this film are kind of tame. At one point when I was watching the film, I basically zoned out, but there's a moment where Juan and Alison's characters are watching Cena kill a dozen men in slow motion with a big machine gun. It's like that Diet Coke advert or some kind of thirst trap, but all I could think was, what if they remade Commando with John Cena today? I mean, he'd be perfect in the role, but the problem I had in my head was, could they do it and be earnest like the original and not too silly? Or would it become jokey and they'd break the fourth wall and it'll end up with some kind of a parody, like they did with Hot Shots, which copied Rambo and of course Top Gun? The other problem with this film is the comedy. It's just not very good. There were moments where someone would say something and then there was a long pause. And it was almost like they were waiting for the audience to laugh before carried on. Or maybe there was supposed to be a laughter track in there. But even if they had put one in, I don't think it would have made the jokes any more amusing. In fact, I don't think I laughed out loud once. And that's a problem when a film is listed as an action comedy and it has not a lot of either. Also, there are other members of the cast that are not mentioned at all that were completely wasted. Christian Slater is in it as Cena's old pal from his days in Special Forces, and he doesn't really do a lot. He drives around a bit, and that's kind of it. Alice Eve, it took me forever to recognise it was her, because she has nothing to do as Cena's slightly bitter and upset wife. Her dialogue is weird, it's contradictory, and makes no sense. At one point she's telling her estranged husband to get out and she needs her space, only to complain 5 minutes later about him going away on a job. The dialogue is just bland in this film, and she's utterly wasted. Then there's the main villain of the film, Martin Kasokis. In Equalizer with Denzel Washington and in TV shows like Into the Badlands, he's terrifying and he's a powerful on-screen presence. Here, he's relegated to random South African bad guy leader who secretly has a good heart because he has a daughter that does ballet. At the very least, I thought, okay, at the end of the film, there'll be an amazing fight between him and Cena, real balls to the wall, really tough and interesting. But no, we got a tame, poorly choreographed tumble down the stairs, and then, to make matters even worse, they don't even kill Martin's character. They just leave him alone and walk away, which makes no sense at all. They don't even tie him up. He's just a bit stunned. Maybe they did that for the ratings. I don't know, but again, it was an absolute waste. Somewhere in this, there is a good film. Now, the idea is not wholly original, and obviously, it's actually a social commentary on industry exploiting countries for greed whilst ignoring the natives in favour of profit, talking about some countries like those in South America. Now, the cast is excellent. We know the director can do action. We know that. All of the elements were good, except for the script. It was trying to do too many things. It was neither funny enough to be called a comedy, nor dramatic enough to be called an action film. Films like Lethal Weapon, or even the early Arnie films, got the balance right. This felt as if it was someone with a size 12 foot trying to squeeze into a size 8 shoe. It was uncomfortable, awkward, painful at times, and generally meant that you never want to repeat the experience. I'd love to see all of these actors together again in something that is much better, with a much better script, where they're allowed to use their natural talents to the full. Sadly, Freelance is a miss for me. It's 2 out of 5 bags at best, and that's being generous because we don't do half bags. So it isn't really worth your time. That's all I've got for today. I'm off to watch Commando.